Hello and welcome to the show. This is Everything Under the Sun. My name is Ty. Hope all of you are doing the best to take care of yourselves today and every other day. Recently, I got some news. I mean, maybe all of you have gotten this news about the COVID vaccine officially being approved by the FDA and kind of starting to get spread through different places in the world. I got news from a friend that's in New York that was speaking about how I guess the hospitals there are going to get like some of the first rounds of vaccines, which I mean kind of makes sense. It's a huge city, but I mean all around the world, in the UK, I think Canada just approved a vaccine as well. So there's going to be some, I guess, changes as well, and it's going to all depend on, I guess, how many people are actually taking the vaccine. Because I know there's some speculation around just the safety of the vaccine and all of those different things. I read an article that was speaking about how President Obama, Clinton, and Bush all volunteered to take the vaccine publicly just to kind of help to ease public tensions or worries about it. So I don't know if that's going to help or not, or if that already happened. I'm not sure, but um, that's just news. And I think that for better or for worse, whatever this vaccine means for long-term health issues or whatever it may be, this may be something that may help us to get back to some sense of normalcy. And of course, it's going to take a while. I think that healthcare providers, the elderly, and maybe even educators are going to get like the first round of vaccines just so that kids can go back to school. Nurses and doctors can be protected to continue to help individuals, and the most at-risk population is going to be, okay through the remainder of this outbreak. But I don't know. I think that it's something that gives me hope to think that maybe 2021, mid 2021, by like April, maybe May, we could kind of get back to things opening up and maybe have a good summer ahead of us. So anyway, that's kind of just the top news in that domain. But I think this is something that all of us have been kind of waiting for, even if we have speculations about just what this vaccine entails. But that's neither here nor there. But today I'm gonna kind of get going with this episode. Got the box right here. Today, as you may know from the title, is on exercise. And I think that there's a lot more to this than I originally expected. I'm kind of glad that the person only said exercise, like only sent an exercise and not like physical exercise, because I think that exercise is a lot more dynamic. I'm not really sure, like I feel like my voice sounds a little raspy right now. I don't have a sore throat or anything, but it's just been kind of like raspy all morning. Anyway, toxic positivity is the topic that was just drawn out of the box. And I remember when I was given this topic, and it was something that kind of I didn't really know. I've never really heard about it at the time, and I've done some looking up into it like shortly after I received the topic, and it's definitely something that's interesting to be had. And as we just went over the episode on mental health, I think this is something that is also, it's definitely something that's involved with mental health, because toxic positivity can be something that I think is maybe given by individuals that are maybe trying to not think about negative things that are going on, and it's received negatively by individuals that are not trying to just be told to, hey, everything's going to be okay, kind of thing. So that's going to be an interesting topic, toxic positivity, and if many of you haven't heard about it, it's definitely going to be a topic that I think we can all kind of relate to because we've experienced it at some point. So today the topic is on exercise, and again, like I'm very glad that this was just the general idea of exercise, because exercise is very dynamic in just like the sense of what it is. So commonly we know exercise as being like physical exercise, going to the gym, running, and doing all these different things to keep your body in shape. And of course that's great, and that's very important, because I guess I spoke about maybe a little bit briefly just how I notice that, my body changes when I'm exercising or when I'm moving, when I'm not. And I consider exercise to be something that's very, like physical exercise to be something that's a lot more dynamic than just going to the gym or doing those typical things that exercise involves. And something that kind of shifted my view with that was I worked at a weight loss camp in upstate New York for 2 summers, and it was an amazing experience, because I was overweight as a child, and I had a lot of insecurities in myself, and I lost a lot of that weight in a not great way. I was not eating correctly, not eating very much at all, and exercising extensively, and it wasn't doing my body any good. And I worked at this weight loss camp because I believe that weight loss should be something that's different. We shouldn't feel so insecure in our bodies, and we shouldn't do these detrimental things to try to get to this weird ideal size or weight or whatever it is that seems to be expected by society. So I wanted to work at this camp because I knew that the children that were attending there may be going through similar things and insecurities that I was going through when I was going through that time in my life. So I worked at this weight loss camp because I wanted to kind of instill this better idea of movement and exercise and just health. And that was something that I got from that job. I got to understand just like different ideas about what to put into your body. This was a learning experience for me as well, but also learning that exercise wasn't something that had to be something strenuous. You didn't have to go to the gym to have exercise. There were Zumba classes. There were times where we just like swam or did basketball or, just did different like cardiovascular activities that were fun, things that I guess kids would enjoy doing. And I mean, I guess even adults would enjoy doing, like just going out and, maybe playing some kind of, flag football or something like that, where it's like, it's active, it's doing something that's fun and enjoyable, and it's exercise. And that's something that I think is key to this idea of exercise as far as physical exercise is. Movement is medicine. I firmly do believe that. I believe that when we move our body, it helps to lubricate the joints. It helps to keep those muscles moving and keep them active and strong. Because, I mean, think about individuals that are, paralyzed or in comas, like their muscles aren't being moved. So they have muscle atrophy. Their muscles start to weaken so much because they're not being utilized. So we actually have to use it or we will lose it. And that's something that it's just part of our life, so it's something that we have to do. But I think that the way that we've been looking at it is either like hit the gym or not, or hit the gym and be healthy, or like not hit the gym and be unhealthy. And I think that that's just like some crazy idea that's just not true. We can go for walks, we can go for hikes, we can just enjoy some time with friends in a park or something, and again play some disc or whatever it may be. But that's activity, that's motion, that's movement, and that's medicine. And as long as we keep moving and doing these things that we love that are active and outdoors or whatever it may be, that is enough physical exercise. I think that there's this terrible idea that we have to be doing this stuff that's going to keep us in this crazy nice shape or like build all these muscles for us. And I think that that's something that's very false. One thing that I firmly believe is that we need to live in our happiness, or just to live in our happiness, is live how you want to live, and it's like, of course there are different things. Like, I mean, I do believe that motion is medicine, movement is medicine, and that is something that, I guess I try to live by, where it's like, maybe every now and then I like to go for a walk or whatever that may be, and I don't always have the time for it, or maybe I just don't always feel like it, but at the end of the day, it's like, that's something that I do believe. But we have to live in our own happiness, like it's our body, it's our life, it's how we want to live. And we can't let anyone else tell us how we should look or how we should feel or the things that we should be doing for our body. So as we kind of speak about this idea of just exercise in all the different domains, physical and otherwise, live in your own happiness, live by what you feel is good for you, and whatever that may be, however that may look. And I want to stress that as I go through this idea of exercise, because there's so much stigma that's put on it. And part of the reason why I started losing weight in the way that I did so negatively was because, there was this just negative idea about just how I looked versus how I should have looked, and it was something that caused a lot of insecurities with me, and a lot of stuff that caused me to exercise different parts of myself that weren't physical. Because I believe that exercise, and again, like I spoke about how this is a broader topic, because exercise is something that's so much more expansive than just physical exercise. We have to exercise our mind, like the things that are going on within ourselves. And that episode about mental health was just something that was spoken, and it's a challenge. It's an exercise that we have to work with as we work with these different domains of our minds, and the experiences that we have within that. And I think that the exercise in the mind can be something that's so beneficial, even if most people don't really acknowledge it. I firmly believe that the smart man can outwit the strong man. It's like by using his mind. He exercised a different part of his body, a different muscle. He exercised something different, and that allowed him to win in that situation, or, allowed that person to win in that situation. So our mental strength and our mental fortitude is something that is, just as important as our physical fortitude. And I spoke about that again in the mental health episode, and it stands true today, because those insecurities that I felt about my physical body, they started to influence, different parts of my own mental space. I started to shut down more. I used to be very outgoing. I used to be like, I used to like to tell jokes. I used to like to laugh and like surround myself with people that, I enjoyed having those experiences with. And of course, I still enjoy doing that. And it's taken a lot of work to regain that personality and that realization that that's what I loved within myself. But as a child, and as I went through that experience of just, not feeling right within my body, and, feeling as though like, I just wasn't in the right place, I think that, it started to influence different parts of myself. And one thing was just like my voice. I think that it sounds kind of strange, but it's like I have to exercise my voice. It's something that started to get kind of chipped away at, because I started having these insecurities about, my body, and then it started to go into, how I was feeling about the things I had to say, and, like it started cascading. And I think that that's something that happens where it's like we can get into a place where it's like, we can start to remove parts of ourselves because of a completely different experience. And I think that that's something that it's important for us to understand, but we can't understand it unless we know where it's coming from. So that's what I mean by living your happiness, and also just the realization that, there is a lot more exercise that needs to be done mentally than we generally acknowledge. I think that there are so many things that we have within ourselves, and things that exist that we don't really exercise, that we don't really try to expand upon. And something I believe with exercise is that exercise is it's moving and building upon something that's already there. Like your muscles are already there. So when you're doing physical exercise, you're only just working those muscles. You're building on those muscles. When you do mental exercise as well, you're building on what's already there. You're building on your will. You're building on your courage. You're building on your strength. These are all things that are already available to you. And as I started to, this is going back to the story about, just like my voice, and building on that, it's something I had to realize as well. It's like, I do have a voice, and I do have things that I want to say, and it's not necessarily just things I need to say to other people, but things I need to say to myself. Like your voice is something that is, it's all around, it's within yourself, and it's coming outside of yourself as well. So as I realized that I need to exercise my voice, it came in different forms. It came with speaking up more. It came with realizing that, the things that I thought and felt were valid. And I think that that's something that is so big, where it's like I've had clients that spoke so often about just having validity in the words that they say, not being able to either trust themselves or feel as though they can impart advice or impart any type of presence with other individuals that are dealing with things, because they don't feel like they have the right words to say or the right, experience to be there. And I think that that's something that hinders us. So as we gain our voice, as we gain our realization that we have things that are valuable, we have a presence, and we have, things about us that can and will do amazing things in the world if we realize them and work on building them and exercising them, and making them into something that we truly aspire towards. And I think that this kind of mental exercise is something that's so important. And again, it goes so well hand in hand with the last episode of mental health, because we again focus on so much of this aesthetic, this physical aesthetic of things, when on the inside it can be something that's a completely different story. It's something that isn't necessarily being built upon. And as we kind of think about this idea that we are building upon things that we already have, I think it maybe raises that question of what is within me. What do I have within me? And once we kind of realize and identify those things, then we can start working on it. You already have strength. You have strength within you. Exercise it. Build upon it. Become stronger. You are already creative. Build upon that creativity. do the things that make you feel good within yourself. Do the things that explore that different part of yourself that is creative, because it's there already. Exercise it. You have love already within yourself. That's demonstrated with the love that you give to other people. Exercise that within yourself. Give that love back to yourself. Expand that love within yourself, and it will continue to radiate outward and inward. Exercising these things within ourselves are the key to living the best life that we can, because it's building upon ourselves. It's building upon these faint little lights that are within us, and we're building those flames to be something much stronger and broader and more defining of who we are. And I think as we understand more of who we are, we can move through the world a little more confidently. We can know that we are taking the steps necessary to achieve the goals that we want, because we know that we're actively building upon ourselves in these different domains. So I've loved this idea of exercise, and I know that this episode was a little bit shorter maybe than other episodes, but I really just love this idea of just how exercise is something that is, it's truly something that's part of us. And I think that I wanted to make it something that's very inclusive to individuals that, maybe aren't necessarily mobile, because there are individuals that aren't mobile. There are individuals that maybe aren't as mobile, or, aren't able to do strenuous things that maybe they used to be able to do, or whatever the case may be. There is this idea of exercise that I think that we all can kind of live by. And I think that there is this idea of shame around exercise, or just like the general idea of exercise that I think I want to kind of try to remove. And of course, it's going to take a lot more than just this episode and this podcast to try to remove that stigma from it. But I think as we think about exercise differently, as we start to live in our own happiness and realize that it's okay to be who we are and to live the life that we want to live, all the while building upon ourselves in different domains, I think that that's something that can bring us so much more happiness than we've been able to experience before. So, that's kind of all I have for this episode. Again, I know this is a short episode. It seems like it's more of a follow-up episode, but I love, again, like the idea that this was just a broad idea of exercise rather than just physical exercise. And I value so much that this was a topic that was sent in. So if any of you have any ideas or thoughts or things that you'd like to share revolving this episode or anything about this podcast, you can send those to everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com. You can join the Instagram page at everything.sunpodcast, or you can join the Twitter page at Every Sun Podcast. And there's the Facebook group as well, Everything Under the Sun with Ty. So yeah, take care of yourselves, love yourselves, and that's all I got. Love you all. I'll see you next time.